Jordan Peele's Nope finally comes out into theaters this week. I got a chance to check it out early, and let me tell you right now, this film is an absolute spectacle that will probably leave you speechless for good and bad reasons. This is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I think I'm starting to come to love it a little bit more the more that I think about it, even with certain issues that it has. But damn, did he create one hell of an original blockbuster that, again, is a spectacle. That's our keyword for today. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're going to be discussing Jordan Peele's Nope. Now, this is a non-spoiler review, and one thing I do want to give you guys a warning on. Anything seen in the trailers is fair game. So if you want to go into this film not knowing a single thing, if you've only seen one trailer, maybe the very first one, walk away right now. If you don't want to talk about what's that cloud thing, because obviously the second trailer did reveal that. But besides that, you are safe here. I'm not going to go into plot points of what exactly happens throughout the story because that is the best mystery of any Jordan Peele film, is finding that out all for yourself. So you are safe here. But overall, diving into this review, this film is about the residents of a lonely gulch in inland California who bear witness to an uncanny and chilling discovery. Again, directed and written by Jordan Peele, starring the likes of Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, Brandon Pereira, Michael Wincott, and Steven Yeun. This was hands down one of my most anticipated films for the entire year. I absolutely loved Jordan Peele's Get Out. I loved Jordan Peele's Us. And I was very excited to see if I was going to come to love this one. Now, I think this is a movie I definitely need to see on a second rewatch and to truly come out and think about a little bit more, because there are elements that I absolutely love about this movie. There are some things that drag it down, that hold it back from being the quote-unquote masterpiece that some people are hailing this film to be. But I still think this is a must-see film due to the fact that Jordan Peele created a wholly original blockbuster that we don't see enough nowadays. Most of the blockbusters we get now in theaters are comic book films, superheroes, IPs that we've already seen, to sequels or anything of that nature. We don't get a lot of original stuff nowadays, and I think that's what Jordan Peele has been able to dissect and bring into this within all of the visions that he has created. And with this, he set out to make a spectacle. Thematically, this film has elements that talk about that, but as well as a blockbuster that you can't keep your eyes off of due to how gorgeous the cinematography is and so many different reasons, and we're going to talk about all those. But the thing I want to start out this review is talking about expectations for this film. After the trailers dropped, a lot of theories started rumbling around of what's going on here, and a lot of people started landing on the idea that this is probably about aliens. Of course, with it being Jordan Peele, there are going to be twists and turns that make you maybe go, okay, this is not your typical story like that. And in the ideas and the ways that he's able to bring this about were thrilling to me, because in a way, this is Jordan Peele's Jaws, with how Jaws very much did not, it made people not want to go to the beach anymore, made them not want to go in the water. This movie will make you not want to look up in the sky. And I'm not saying that this film is the most horrifying thing that I've seen or one of the most thrilling things I've ever seen, but it does make you scared of what could be up there. And Jordan Peele did that. He dives in and to his own Twilight Zone story and brings out these mysteries while also diving into a lot of thematical natures that are happening in our world today. And in general, just through the history of filmmaking. And we're going to talk about that, but the expectations that you must be set is that this is not like Jordan Peele's last two movies. This is not a horror movie. This is a sci-fi blockbuster that is from the point of view of two people who just need to get rich. And maybe it just happens to be that they're just trying to catch proof that there's something in the sky. There's a lot more to it than that, but they bear witness to this spectacle, and that's where it sets us off on our journey. And that is things that you just need to know, that this is different. This is weird, and it's not going to be for everyone. My fiance did not like this movie as much as I did. She appreciated a lot of elements, but she was not the biggest fan of this movie. Whereas for me, I kind of been starting to love it a little bit more, the more and more I talk and the more that I've tried to film this review, because this is like my fourth attempt at actually filming this review. And God, I have a lot to say about this. So diving into my pros, the one thing I want to dive into first is, of course, the thematics that Jordan Peele really much layers out in here. He's very much known for this, whether it was, again, Get Out or Us. Every single film that he's written and directed so far has carried heavy thematical natures, and everyone's going to pull and twist something different from here. But again, like I mentioned, how this is Jordan Peele's spectacle, that is what he's talking about in here. There's always this sense of obsession that a lot of us human beings feel. You, me, anyone who's ever watched this or talked, we have felt that obsession to have a spectacle in our life. What do we do every 4th of July? What do we do every New Year's Eve? We shoot fireworks up. We watch them. And that spectacle keeps us entertained. But what happens if something else happens? You go to the zoo, you see animals training and all this sorts of things. There's a spectacle there. Same thing with when you watch a movie. There's a spectacle. But there's things that aren't talked about. The behind-the-scenes nature of that. And I think there's a lot of layers that many people will be able to chew on and really dissect into here about how the industry, the Hollywood industry, and just in general social media has swallowed so many people and chewed them back out and spit them back out into a certain realm and layer that is unlike anything that we can even fathom. And there's that obsession of becoming viral and getting to that next, gig or getting to that next point in our career or lives. And again, we become obsessed with that. And in a way, that is a spectacle. That is the key word here. And like I mentioned in my intro, it is one of the biggest things that Jordan Peele emplaces in this film. Because in a way, it mocks viewers for what we want from viewership. What has been happening a lot in social media nowadays is how people view comic book movies. People want these big, bombastic, high-energy things that Avengers Endgame had given us. Those crowd-pleasing things. But not every comic book movie is going to provide that. Not every film's going to provide those cheering, crowd-pleasing moments. But they could provide a great story. But some audience members will chew it back up and spit it back out in their face because that's not what they expected. Those are the spectacles that some people urge for, lean into, and yearn for. And Nope, what does it tell you? Nope, that's not what I'm doing here. Nope is a vastly different movie, and I like how Jordan Peele was able to layer that out. And at least that's at least what I grabbed from this entire story. You're probably going to grab other things. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. It's very hard to dive into it without spoilers, but I loved what Jordan Peele was trying to say. And again, his writing and directing is so on par when it comes down to that, specifically in the way that he's able to direct all the thrilling moments in here. Like I mentioned, this is his Jaws. The sound design of this cloud hovering over them is absolutely terrifying. There's a scene in a house where two characters are in this house and you hear this spectacle above it. And the horrifying nature of it all was absolutely terrifying to me. And especially seeing this in an IMAX theater, and if you do have a chance to see this in IMAX or a Dolby theater, I can't recommend it enough because this film was shot on IMAX. It is absolutely gorgeous in so many different ways, in the way that they really paint each and every frame, and again, layered it out like it's a spectacle. This is a true blockbuster that really makes you think and makes you look all around. And the way the sound design, it was some of the best sound design stuff that I've seen in 2022 so far. And I absolutely adored a lot of elements of that. All thanks to Jordan Peele. Like, hands down, Jordan Peele's directing really brought that all to life. And I was so stunned from top to bottom the way that he was able to direct that. And I think a lot of you guys are also going to be stunned from that as well. But diving into the next thing that is a major pro for this is hands down the performances. Daniel Kaluuya is absolutely phenomenal in here. Keke Palmer is incredible, and both of their performances just match well in heaven. They have great chemistry, being brother and sister in here, and I absolutely adored them in this film and think they're some of the best aspects. Brandon Pereira and Michael Wincott. Wincott's not in it enough. I think he's good for what he is, but Brandon Pereira, I cannot wait to see what he does next. This is the first performance I've ever seen from him, and I thought he did such a phenomenal job as well. But the last actor I want to talk about, I'm actually going to save it for my cons, not due to his performance, but it is Steven Yeun's character, Ricky Jupe. I have a lot of elements to talk about him, some spoilerish. I'm not going to talk about the spoilers here, but I will vaguely talk about him in the cons. But Steven Yeun was fantastic for the performance and the role that he was given. He just wasn't in the film enough for me personally, and I wish he would have been in it a little bit more. Again, technically, this film is great. The visual effects, besides one element, there's one thing you see in here that the visual effects aren't the best on, but everything that you see dealing with the cloud is absolutely really fascinating. And again, brings back to that element and roundabout of the spectacle. And that's something that I really loved about this. I can go on and on forever about why Jordan Peele created such a vision that really was a creatively phenomenon here. Like, it was something special and unlike anything that I could have expected going into this movie, but it's something that I appreciate so much, and really, the more and more I talk about it and the more and more I come to it, the more and more I start to love it. And I just can't appreciate Peele enough. And I think on repeat viewings, I'm going to appreciate this film even more. And a lot of you guys might be asking, like, where does this rank in my ranking? It's probably my third out of the 3 films he's directed so far. But maybe it'll go up over time. I just really... Let's dive into my cons now. Because there's 2 things that I think hold this film back from being the quote-unquote masterpiece that so many people have been hailing it out to be. The first thing is the runtime. This film is about 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I think you could have either made it longer or shorter. Now, if you go longer, you need to give a little bit more development to Steven Yeun's character, because his character has a unique subplot to his back history that you start to learn throughout the story. Now, when this again happens, it again goes back to the keyword spectacle. My problem with it was, though, that it never really went anywhere. There are, again, probably things I'm missing in there when it comes down to just dissecting and stuff, but I feel like Steven Yeun's character needed to be in the film a little bit more to really elevate and give a little bit more context to the sublining meaning, and as well as just his portion of the story. It feels like that whole portion was building, and never really went anywhere. And that's the first time that I've ever said that in a Peele's film, where a subplot just really feels like it didn't fully build up. And it didn't completely bother me, but it was something that I truly think could have been a little bit stronger in there. And again, nothing against Steven Yeun's performance. It just feels like something was missing from that entire storyline, and I wish they would have touched on it a little bit more, or even had Steven Yeun's Ricky Jupe in it a little bit. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, besides kind of the pacing and the runtime of it all, and again, that character needing a little bit more development, finishing up my cons, and one of the things that kind of holds the film back, and I don't even think this is really much an issue, it's more just a mixed bag. I don't even know why I feel so distressed towards this one entire sequence. There's a sequence towards the back half that, while I think the build up to it was phenomenal, there's something that starts to happen and transform that, again, tying back to the keyword spectacle, I get what Peele was going for, but it wasn't completely my cup of tea. And the way it ends, I actually really loved. I love the ending to this movie. But everything a little bit before that could have been a bit better. Honestly, Nope left me speechless. Not wanting to look up into the sky, and just reminded me why Jordan Peele just directed the hell out of a true, wholly original blockbuster that in some ways is his Jaws. And again, it's original. The themes of obsession and spectacle are full picture here, but in the end, I left with some mixed feelings, and in general, some things that I just wanted the film to dive into a little bit deeper. This is a film that I was absolutely entertained by, and it is a movie that I'm going to be excited to revisit once again, whether I get to see it in theaters or I buy it at home to rewatch. There are elements in here that I absolutely love, and again, there's going to be things that aren't for everyone, but check your expectations at the door. This is so different than anything Peele has done before, and that's why I'm going to give this movie a B+. I overall really liked this movie. I think there are elements that I absolutely love, certain things that I dislike, and that's just how movies are. I don't think it's the quote-unquote masterpiece, but I think some of you guys are really going to be in for a treat, and some of you guys are probably going to hate this movie, but this is Jordan Peele's spectacle. So once again, guys, thank you so much again for watching this. You guys are really all the best. Again, hit that like and subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts, and of course, until next time, make sure to also head on over to Sandwich on Films on how to see films early. But I'll be heading to San Diego Comic-Con this week. Lots of fun coverage coming from there. So of course, stay classy.